In what world was it okay for Jet Metcalf to show up to Karmelo's Anthony family's press conference? Now, here's the second question. How did he know where it was? Somebody told him. And that video that they got circulating of showing him, complying and walking out. But in the end, the police officers are shaking his hand. Did anybody else catch that? I'm just confused. Like, why would that be okay for you to show up to another family's press conference and them telling them how the husband can't even work no more because of all of the threats and they're scared for their lives, and you show up like you big and bad? Where is that okay? I'm so confused of the nonsense, the shenanigans that's going on right now to allow that man to come to that family's press conference. So y'all couldn't stop him before he made it actually through the door of this conference. Y'all let him walk all the way through, right? What type of security did they have there to protect them? Because this is crazy. And her husband's, Karmelo Anthony's mother, the husband wasn't even able to be there to be her support system because they're scared to leave their other families by themselves. This is ludicrous at this point in time. But I just want to know, did y'all see that? And tell me what y'all caught watching that video.
Ever since Austin Metcalf tragically lost his life, his father has been going out of his way repeatedly trying to extend an olive branch to Karmelo Anthony's family. He's been going out of his way repeatedly trying to stand with them, trying to unite with them as his family goes through the loss of their son, and as Karmelo's family is dealing with the reality that they raised a cold-blooded murderer. And you see, even a couple of hours after Austin Metcalf was killed, Austin's father was already on the news doing interviews forgiving his son's murderer, trying to talk people out of being angry at Karmelo's family, trying to be understanding, trying to be compassionate, forgiving, whatever words you want to use. And a lot of people have their own opinions about this, right? Some people think it's weak. Some people think that he's just doing the Christian thing. This is the Christian thing to do. And you guys know how I feel about it. If you've been watching my videos, I've already told you all how I feel about it. But it doesn't matter how we feel about it. Because the reality is, none of us can deny this. Austin Metcalf's father, at the very least, you might not agree with him, but he has been a decent person trying to handle this tragedy with a tidbit of decency, unlike Karmelo Anthony's family. Austin's father has been out here saying, hey, don't make this about race. Please don't make this a racial debate. I don't want a race war surrounding my son. Meanwhile, Karmelo's family came out and said, this is all about race. Please make this about race. We want a race war. It's the only way we can keep our son out of prison, maybe. So we're seeing like these just exact opposite reactions, right? You're seeing hate, racism, lies, and vitriol coming from Karmelo's side. And you're seeing decency, nothing but decency coming from Austin Metcalf's side. Now, one could argue that now is not the time for decency, and I would agree. Now's not the time to be all kumbaya and worry about being viewed as a decent person, but regardless of how I feel, regardless of how you feel, the reality is that he has handled this in a very decent manner. Decent is the word of the day. And it shows you, right? The reaction of Austin Metcalf's family and the reaction of Karmelo Anthony's family, it shows you who raised a good kid and who raised a murderer with no accountability at all. Karmelo's mom raised a murderer, and she's partially responsible for what he did, if you ask me. And I just hate seeing this woman's face as she tries to play victim, looking like a E.T. with a dry wig on. It's so freaking sickening. It was so freaking sickening watching this press conference. But speaking of the press conference and speaking of Austin Metcalf's father, there's also been this debate around why did Austin's father show up to the press conference? Was he there to confront the family? Was he there to stare the family down as they lied? Or was he there to unite with the family? Well, we now have our answer. Because Austin's father gave an exclusive interview where he explained why he showed up to the protest, or why he showed up to the press conference, and how he felt about being escorted out of the press conference by the police. Now, I'm going to hop into that interview in just a moment, but first, people often ask, how can they support the channel? The answer to that question is very simple. You can support the channel for free by liking the video, subscribing, dropping a comment, and becoming part of the conversation. And sharing the video on social media might be the most important thing you can do to support the channel. And all of this is totally free. But if you want to take your support one step further, it's always needed and greatly appreciated over here, because YouTube does not like people who tell the truth and just say it how it is. So if you would like to, you could always send a Cash App or a Super Thanks. Always greatly appreciated. But with that being said, let's dive into this interview with Austin Metcalf's father. Austin Metcalf's dad reveals he was disrespected after being thrown out of Karmelo Anthony's press conference, hoping that he could pray with the accused killer's family. The father of slain teen Austin Metcalf said he hoped he could pray with the family of his son's alleged killer, but wound up feeling disrespected when he showed up earlier this week at a press conference organized by the accused slayer's kin and got thrown out. Now I want to pause right there. Karmelo Anthony's family is extremely disrespectful. And their spokesman, the baby beater, is extremely disrespectful for how they handled this, how they threw Austin Metcalf's father out of the press conference. And, hearing that Austin Metcalf's father feels disrespected by this, I understand. Austin's father has every right to feel disrespected by this, but my question is, are you just now feeling disrespected? Did you not feel disrespected when they made a website and called their son a hero on the website and started selling t-shirts with his face on it? Like he's some sort of celebrity? I got a Fast and the Furious shirt on right now. A $1 billion movie franchise. Karmelo's on t-shirts because he killed your son. And an entire community of people are rallying around him, and they're going out of their way every day creating lies about your kid. Do you not think that is disrespectful? And you see, a lot of us following this story, we are tapped in, we are plugged in, we realize what's going on around us, we realize what's happening in this story. And I just wonder if Austin's father doesn't see the things that we see. Because it would be totally understandable if Austin's father didn't want to get on the internet and didn't want to deal with all of this stuff that's spreading around about his son. So I'm wondering if he's simply not exposed to this. Has he cut himself off from social media and stuff? So is he not seeing the stuff that we're seeing? Because I wonder if he would have a different response if he knew the things that we knew and if he has seen the things that we've seen. Because I just find it really hard to believe that any father could accept seeing the things that I've seen these people say about his son. The lies, the fake reports, the fake autopsies, everything. I have a hard time believing that a father would be able to see this and stand by silently and still make all of these attempts to stand united with the murderer's family. So, I don't know. I am kind of confused here about the reaction. I'm not judging him. But there's something off here. There's something off here. And I touched on this on a previous video when this case first broke. I may have to touch on some of that again in a future video. But there's something off here. And I'm hoping it's just that Austin's father is not subjected to all of the hate that we've been seeing these people spread about his son. But he finally feels disrespected after being thrown out of this press conference. I don't know if he's just now getting the memo or the message that these people hate him, that these people don't like him, they don't like your son, they hate your son, and they just don't like white people. You could try to coddle to these people, you could try to be nice to them, and Lord knows Austin's father has been nothing but nice. But none of it is enough. The hate is still real. It might not be coming from you. It might not be coming from Austin's side of things, but the hate on Karmelo's side is real. And that realization probably had to smack Austin's father in the face when he showed up to pray with his family, but instead they kicked him out and then demonized him and said he was a bad person during the press conference. And basically, I don't even want to get into the disrespectful things they said. Let's go ahead and dive back into this interview though. Karmelo's family held the press conference last Thursday in Dallas, a few days after the 17-year-old was allowed to leave jail on house arrest. But the proceedings came to a halt when Austin's father, Jeff Metcalf, showed up out of the blue, only to be escorted out by a pack of Dallas cops. He thought it could have been handled very differently. They should have pulled me up to the front and said, "We are sorry, our condolences." The only thing I would have said was, "Okay, we can pray together and show the world that we're united." So you see, Austin's father knows there's a lot of drama surrounding this case. He might not see all the stuff that we see. I'm hoping he doesn't. But in Austin's father's mind, he wants to come to this press conference, right? And he wants to stand with Karmelo's family, show the world that they're united so both families don't get hate, right? Now we know that all of the hate is really directed at Austin Metcalf's family and Austin Metcalf's side of things, right? We know where the hate is coming from. We know that Karmelo's side, they're not getting the hate they claim to be getting. And the hate they're getting is because their son murdered someone and because they're in denial when it comes to accountability. They don't want him to be held accountable. They're playing victim. That's where the hate is coming from, right? Austin's father wants to stand in front of the world and show the world, hey, we're together. So y'all don't need to be divided and fighting each other over this case because here we are standing together. Please stop sending hate towards Karmelo's family and please stop sending hate towards my family. That's the mentality that Austin's father had. Unfortunately, he's dealing with very bad, evil people who do not have that same mentality. They have the mentality of, oh, we're going to raise as much money as we can off the murder of your child. We're going to demonize your child. We're going to make this out to be all white people are bad. Screw you, Jeff. We're going to crap all over you. We're going to tarnish your son's name. We're going to tap dance on his grave. We're going to mock you. We're going to mock everyone that stands up for your son. We're going to be the worst people imaginable. We're going to film videos dancing around in our Carmelo Anthony t-shirts. We're going to film videos laughing about your son getting murdered. We're not going to pray with you. We're not going to stand with you. We're not going to unite with you. Because Carmelo's side isn't really getting the hate. They're generating the hate. They don't want the hate to stop. They want the hate to keep going. They want the hate to get worse because in their mind, it's the only way possible for Karmelo to get off. And Austin's father has not come to this realization yet. Maybe one day he will. Maybe one day he won't. He's dealing with a lot right now. There's a lot to register. There's a lot to process. But at the very least, he tried to be a decent person and pray with these people. And we saw what he got in return. But let's dive back into the interview. After the impromptu appearance, both Metcalf and his ex-wife had police called to their houses in swatting pranks. He also resigned from his real estate job Saturday, fearing for his colleagues and clients' safety, he said. So losing his child is not enough. This entire community coming together to bash him. They're swatting his house, swatting his ex-wife's house. And now he had to resign from his job. Austin Metcalf's father basically just lost his job, all because his son was murdered. And instead of everyone grieving his son and acknowledging how tragic this situation is, a large portion of the black community have decided that they're going to attack Austin's family nonstop for no reason, to the point where this guy had to quit his job because his colleagues and his co-workers are getting put in danger. They're getting death threats from the same violent community that produced Carmelo Anthony and from the same violent community that is now supporting Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo's father didn't lose his job. Austin's father had to leave his job, resign, all because his son was senselessly murdered. And still, even this apparently is not enough to be a full wake-up call for him when it comes to what he's dealing with. I don't know if this guy really realizes what he's up against. But something tells me they're going to make sure that he understands in the long run. Metcalf said he meant no ill will by showing up at the event. He simply wanted to represent Austin in response to people disparaging him online, painting the late teen out as a violent bully. Okay. Good on you, Jeff. It's about damn time, Jeff. I've been really trying to be as nice as I can. And it's hard to be nice when you're dealing with a violent, angry mob of murderers and people who support murderers. It's hard to be nice, right? Sometimes I got to step out of character when covering the story because I know what I'm up against and I know what Austin's family is up against. So it is nice to finally hear for once that Austin's father was actually there to represent him. Yeah, he was there to pray with Carmelo's family, but he was there to represent him as people are disparaging him online. Finally, Jeff, we're going to need you to step up a little bit more against the lies being spread about your son. Because you can say, don't make this about this, whatever. People are making it about it. And you should be out here when the time comes. I'm not saying right now, go through the grieving process. And listen, if you're not going to weigh in at all, that's cool too. But if you're going to weigh in and be forgiving and supportive of Karmelo's family, you damn sure need to be supportive of your son, because I don't think we've heard many words of support for your son. We've heard all of this sympathy for Karmelo. Metcalf said he'd hoped for an apology from the Anthonys for the actions of their son, who stabbed Austin in the heart over a seat at a high school track meet. What he did not expect was to be escorted out of the building by police. Jeff said, "I get a text. My phone's blowing up. It's the effing DA," he said. "Jeff, leave, leave, leave." Metcalf recalled, "My ex-wife texted me. Leave, leave, leave. They'll call the cops if I don't get the F out of there." Activist and known baby beater Dominique Alexander later called Metcalf's visit a disrespect to the dignity of his son Austin. Jeff Metcalf, did not like Alexander's comments. Jeff said, "After I leave, that Dominique just gaslights the out of me. Says I'm disrespecting. I'm so disrespectful. I'm disrespecting the dignity of my son by showing up. And I'm just like, whatever, dude. My character's been assassinated. Or they've tried to assassinate my character. This is my point. We're both victims. My son's dead. Their son will be in prison. But it's the end of the day. Karmelo needs to be accountable for his actions." I am so glad that finally Jeff is speaking up a little bit. I've been here for a week and a half hoping and praying that Jeff would finally say something, at least one thing, about the hateful lies that are being spread about his son. Because there are complete strangers, such as myself. I don't know Austin's family. I don't know Austin. But we're coming together to combat the lies that are being spread. And when Austin's father does these interviews, calling out certain things while ignoring the lies being spread about his son, it doesn't make my job easier. And it just emboldens these people to keep spreading lies because no one's confronting them, right? So I'm glad Jeff finally said something. Now, what he got wrong was he said we're both victims. No. Jeff, you're a victim. Your ex-wife is a victim. Austin is the real victim. And Austin's brother Hunter is a victim in this situation. There are no victims on Karmelo Anthony's side of the aisle. There's not a single one. Now, had they have handled this differently, then maybe we could make an argument about being sympathetic about, them having to, deal with the fact that their son's going to go to prison for a long time, right? But they handled this the worst way possible and the most hateful, vile, racist way possible. So there is no victim on that side of the aisle at all. There's not an ounce of victimhood. They can go shed their fake tears. They can try to rile up their community into being even more hateful than they already are. But they will never be a victim in this situation. At all. Not even close. But as I keep saying in all of these videos, this story has been a huge wake-up call for a lot of people. And right now it appears that Austin Metcalf's father is starting to wake up a little bit as well. Waking up to the fact that he's not dealing with God-fearing Christian people that want to pray with you. That's not what we're dealing with here. We are dealing with an extremely toxic, hateful, violent, racist community of people who live in a constant state of thinking they're the victims of everything, and they don't believe that they should or can be held accountable for anything they do. It's just that plain and simple. And Austin's father is going to realize that, and I think he's starting to realize that, as he keeps making these attempts to reach out and trying to be a good person. I think he's realizing that he's not dealing with good people. And also, it might not be best. People might not want to hear this. It might not be best for Jeff, for Austin's father, to come out and say a lot of the things that maybe you want him to say. He still has to think about Hunter. His other son still has to go through school. His other son still has to go through college. Who knows? Might even play football or something. He still has kids to raise. He still has a life that he has to live. He's not trying to paint a target on his other son's back. He's not trying to paint a target on his own back. So it's easy for us from far away to look at it and say, hey, you should handle things this way. You should handle things that way. But you got to think, in his mind, he's thinking about all of these different repercussions. I'm sure that there's a possibility that he wants to go off and say all of these things, but he's keeping Hunter in mind. He's keeping other things in mind, and we don't know how this guy's life is set up. This guy already lost his job for no reason. He already had to step away from his job simply because portions of the black community were threatening him and threatening his job, swatting his house, making everyone around him feel unsafe for no reason, all because his son was murdered for no reason. But at least we finally got some acknowledgement out of Jeff about what's going on online when it comes to the lies that are being spread. For now, you guys let me know what you think about all of this, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon in the next video.